Madam, please start.
Yes. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar session. I feel very privileged to introduce today's speaker, M. Sai Ishwari, Principal Model School, Munagala, Suryapet District. Madam is a very good speaker as well as an administrator. She worked as a lecturer in Narayana Junior College for 15 years and as a principal for a private school for 5 years. With her abundant experience, she will deliver the sessions in a very interesting way. Children, you must be aware of the quadratic equations chapter. Just recall it once before you listen to today's class. Now, I hand over the session to Mrs. Sai Ishwari, Madam. Madam, over to you.
Thank you, Deepa ma'am. Thank you for all the introduction. Thank you so much. And good morning, all the viewers. Hope you found all the sessions interesting and very useful to you. It is a great pain that every teacher of the model school is taking to go through these webinar sessions. We wish and hope that you will make utilization of these webinars to a maximum content. So here we go. Today we are going to deal about theory of equations, and this is lesson 1. We'll have all around 4 lessons in theory of equations, and here we go with the lesson 1. And here I also thank my VT vocational trainer, Mr. Suman, who is a vocational trainer for multimedia working in our school, who helped to prepare all these PPTs to me. Thank you, Suman. And let's begin. So what are we going to learn today? So theory of equations, as Madam has said, is a continuation of quadratic equations. And most of the part, what I'm going to deal today is very familiar to you, like the definition of polynomial and polynomial equation, which you have learnt in your 10th class. We have remainder theorem, fundamental theorem of algebra, relation between the roots and the coefficients. And here we go with the polynomial definition. I'm just giving a recall of what you have learned in your 9th and 10th classes. In your 9th class, you already had an introduction of polynomials. Now, what is a polynomial? A polynomial is defined like this. If n is a non-negative integer and a0, a1, a2, an are real or complex numbers and a0 not equal to 0, then expression of the form f of x is equal to a0 x power n plus a1 x power n minus 1 plus a2 x power n minus 2 plus so on plus an is called a polynomial in x of degree n. Here the only change that you will find between your 10th class and intermediate is this word complex number. Previously, you have seen that all these coefficients were real numbers. Now here in the second year, you have already learned about complex numbers. So here the coefficients can be real or complex. So automatically you must have understood that we are going to get roots which are imaginary. So these are the examples of polynomials with which you people are quite familiar. You must have also drawn graphs and scored 4 marks in your 10th class. So examples are x cube minus 3x square plus 2x plus 5, which is a cubic polynomial of degree 3, and x square minus 5x plus 6, which is a quadratic polynomial of degree 2. Now, what is a polynomial equation? What is the difference between a polynomial and a polynomial equation? It is as simple as saying an equal to 0 gives the form polynomial equation. So the definition is again the same. If f of x is a polynomial of degree n greater than 0, then the equation f of x equal to 0 is called a polynomial equation of degree n. It is also called an algebraic equation of degree n. So whatever expression you have seen previously, you're just going to put equal to 0 and it becomes a polynomial equation. Here you can see the example. X square plus 2x plus 3 is equal to 0. X power 4 minus 5x cube plus 3x square plus 2x minus 10 equal to 0. They are the examples of polynomial equation. So when a polynomial equation comes into scene, the zeros of the equation also come into the picture. Now, zero of an equation is also called as root. Now, what does this mean? A real or complex number alpha is said to be a zero of a polynomial f of x, or a root of the equation f of x equal to 0 if f of alpha equal to 0. That is, suppose I have an equation like this. F of x equal to x square minus 5x plus 6 is equal to 0. And I am substituting 2 in the place of x. What happens? It becomes 2 square minus 5 into 2 plus 6, which is 4 minus 10 plus 6. That is 10 minus 10, which gives us 0. So what do we understand here? In the place of x, if you substitute 2, the whole expression is becoming 0. Such a number is called the zero of the equation, or it is also called as root of the equation. This you have already learned in your 9th class itself. So root or zero is nothing but that number which satisfies the given equation. Is it not? Yes. So how do we get this? We use what is called remainder theorem. Hope you remember this. When a dividend is divided by a divisor, you get a quotient and a remainder. Is it not? So what does the division algorithm say? If f of x is divided by a polynomial x minus a, I will get a quotient q of x and a remainder f of a. This is also a concept which you have learned in your 10th class. Now, continuation of this remainder theorem, we use this theorem to find factors of polynomials, where if this f of a is equal to 0, obviously we say this x minus a is nothing but the factor of the given polynomial. So, what is factor? Let f of x be a polynomial of degree n greater than 0 and a belongs to C. We say that x minus a is a factor of f of x if there exists a polynomial q of x such that f of x is equal to x minus a into q of x. In other words, f of x is exactly divided by x minus a, leaving a remainder 0. So whenever a polynomial of the form x minus a leaves a remainder 0, that is called a factor. Now what does the corollary mean? So it is corollary is nothing but the result that we get from a particular theorem. What is the result we are getting? We are saying that x minus a is a factor, which means the remainder f of a will become 0. Is it not? So it is vice versa. If x minus a is a factor, f of a is 0. If f of a is 0, then x minus a is a factor. So this is what you have to remember. So x minus a is a factor of f of x if and only if f of a is 0. Got it, children? Okay. Let us use this now. We can see one example here. F of x is equal to x minus 1 into x square plus 2x plus 1. Then x minus 1 is a factor of f of x. Here the factorization can clearly be seen. You can see this x minus 1 expression given before this quadratic expression. So it is obvious that you can see that x minus 1 is a factor. So if I put x is equal to 1, obviously the whole expression will become 0. Why? Here it is 1 minus 1, which gives us 0, and 0 into anything becomes 0. And hence, x minus 1 is a factor. Now, among the polynomials, we have a polynomial called monic polynomial. Now, what does this monic polynomial mean? Mono means 1 in mathematics. Bi means 2. Tri means 3. All this scientific terminology you must have used in your chemistry also. Now here the monic polynomial means the leading coefficient is 1. Now what do you mean by leading coefficient? See in the example here, x square minus 2x plus 1, the highest degree polynomial is x square. And the coefficient of this x square is 1. That is why this is called a monic polynomial. Now, if the coefficient of x square is not 1, see here in this example, the coefficient of x square here is what? Yes, it is nothing but 3. It is not 1. Is it not? So, if it is not 1, it is not going to be a monic polynomial. So, a monic polynomial is one which has the leading coefficient 1. Now, you will use this later. Try to remember it and put it in your memory chip. Now, let's move on to the fundamental theorem of algebra. What is this algebra, Gundagabra? Let us see. Now, it only says that every non-constant polynomial equation has at least one root. This is fundamental theorem of algebra. So what does it mean? If you are given a polynomial, what kind of a polynomial? Non-constant polynomial. What is a constant polynomial? It is only a number, and number can be only a constant. It cannot be resolved. Is it not? So we need a non-constant polynomial, at least of degree 1. Then if it at least of degree 1, then there will be at least one root. Okay. Now the extension says that the set of all roots of the polynomial equation f of x equal to 0 of degree n greater than 0 is non-empty and has at most n elements. Also, there exists a1, a2, so on, an in C such that f of x is equal to a into x minus alpha 1, x minus alpha 2, so on x minus alpha n, where a is the leading coefficient of f of x. Here what we have to understand is, the first statement says that a polynomial has minimum one root. And the second theorem says that it can have at most n elements if the degree is n. So my dear children, remember that if the polynomial equation is of degree n, it will have n roots and the minimum is one root. Now if it has n roots, these n roots can be written as x minus alpha 1, x minus alpha 2, so on, x minus alpha n. Now using this, we have solved many examples in your 10th class. You will come across in the coming slides how we can form polynomial equations when the roots are given. Now here, to tell you the larger structure of the polynomials, if the degree is 1, now what do you mean by degree? The highest degree of the polynomial present in the equation. Now here the form is ax plus b equal to 0 of degree 1 and it is called a linear equation which are usually straight lines. So how many roots does a linear equation have? It has only one root. Similarly, any equation of the form ax square plus bx plus c equal to 0 has degree 2 and it is a quadratic equation. You are very familiar with this quadratic equation. You have been dealing with them with an entire chapter. Now, if the degree is 3, it is called a cubic equation, which is of the form ax cubed plus bx squared plus cx plus d equal to 0. Similarly, if the degree is 4, it's called biquadratic equation. Now, what happens if n is more than 4? We simply call it by the degree. So a fifth degree polynomial equation is called a fifth degree polynomial equation only. Okay, దానికేం నామకరణాలు లేవు. So the first degree polynomial is called a linear equation. Second degree is quadratic. Third degree is cubic. Fourth degree is biquadratic. So whatever concepts you have learnt with quadratic equation, we are going to just extend them to cubic and biquadratic and of greater degree. So here we are going to learn how to form a polynomial equation when the roots are given. Suppose 1, 2 are roots of polynomial equation, then f of x can be written as x minus 1 into x minus 2. Now simply multiply these two polynomials. X into x gives us x square, minus 1 into x minus x, minus 2 into x minus 2x, minus 2 into minus 1 gives plus 2. And further simplifying this, we'll get x square minus 3x plus 2. Like this, if the other way around is given, that is, f of x is given as x minus 3 into x minus 5 into x minus 2. Once you see the factors here, immediately you can guess that this 3, 5 and 2 are nothing but the roots of f of x. That's what the zeros of f of x, which you have learnt in your previous classes. Here there is one more concept, children, which we have to remember, that if a plus root b is a root of the f of x equal to 0, then its conjugate. What is the conjugate of a plus root b? It is nothing but a minus root b. So a minus root b also becomes a root of f of x equal to 0. So a plus root b is a root, its sister a minus root b is also a root. Similarly, where else will you get conjugates? Yes, in complex numbers also you have come across with the conjugates. So here, if a plus ib is a root, then a minus ib is also a root. So conjugates come together. So if one is the root, its conjugate is obviously the other root. This is what you have to understand when the problems are given to form the polynomial equations. So this is one clue you can remember. If a plus root b is a root, a minus root b is a root. If a plus ib is a root, then a minus ib is also a root. So let us see how we can form polynomial equations of lowest degree with roots 1, minus 1, 3. So here we are going to go both the ways. Roots are given, you have to form the polynomial equation. Then you will be given a polynomial equation, you have to find the roots. Now let us see the first case. This is very easy. The roots are given to us, we only have to find the polynomial equation. How are we going to do that? It is as simple as writing them as factors. 1 is a root, x minus 1 is a factor. Minus 1 is a root, so x plus 1 is a factor. 3 is a root, so x minus 3 is a factor. So multiply all the three factors, you will get the required polynomial equation. Similarly, suppose the siblings are given. Who are the siblings here? The conjugates. So here in the example 2, you can see 2 plus root 3 and 2 minus root 3 are roots. Similarly, 1 plus 2i, 1 minus 2i are also the roots. 4 roots are given. So what will be the degree of the polynomial equation? Can you guess? There are 4 roots. So it is going to be a 4th degree polynomial equation. So it will be little difficult to write them in this form as you have seen in example 1. Instead, let us take 2 roots at a time, form a quadratic equation, and finally let us multiply the 2 quadratic equations. So initially, let us take them as alpha, beta, gamma, delta, where alpha is 2 plus root 3, beta is 2 minus root 3, gamma is 1 plus 2i, delta is 1 minus 2i. So first let us form the polynomial equation with alpha comma beta as roots. You must have learnt in quadratic equations the form x square minus of alpha plus beta into x plus alpha beta equal to 0. That is x square minus sum of the roots into product of the roots. So let us try to find the sum of the roots. That is, you have to add alpha and beta. So when you add these two things, obviously you can say that root 3 and minus root 3, they get cancelled and 2 plus 2 becomes 4. If you multiply, they are of the form a plus b into a minus b. So it is going to be 2 square minus root 3 whole square. That is 4 minus 3, which is 1. So sum alpha plus beta is 4. Product alpha into beta is 1. So simply we are going to substitute these values in the equation, and hence we get x square minus 4x plus 1 equal to 0, which is the first equation with alpha comma beta as roots. Now let us see the polynomial equation with 1 plus 2i and 1 minus 2i as roots. Again, we take the same quadratic equation format, that is x square minus sum of roots into x plus product of roots equal to 0. Now here you can see by adding the roots 1 plus 2i and 1 minus 2i, this plus 2i and minus 2i get cancelled. 1 plus 1 gives us 2, and the product 1 plus 2i into 1 minus 2i gives us a square minus b square, that is 1 square minus 2i whole square, that is 4i square. And in complex numbers, you have learnt that I square is minus 1. So this 1 Minus of minus 4, 1 plus 4 becomes 5. So this is the second equation whose roots are 1 plus 2i and 1 minus 2i. Now what is the required equation? It is simply the product of first equation with the second equation. You only have to multiply the first and the second. That is x square minus 4x plus 1 into x square minus 2x plus 5. It is ordinary multiplication. X square into x square x power 4, x square into minus 2x cube, and so on. And adding the like terms, you will get the required equation x power 4 minus 6x cube plus 14x square minus 22x plus 5 equal to 0. This is how we will get a polynomial equation when the roots are given. So if real roots are given, simply put them as factors. If the conjugates are given, form a quadratic equation of the conjugates and then multiply with the other factors. Now, the most interesting part and the realistic part of theory of equation is the relation between the roots and the coefficients. This is a repeated concept which you have learnt in your 9th class, 10th class, again in quadratic equation. What is that? Suppose you have a quadratic equation of the form ax square plus bx plus c equal to 0, whose roots are alpha comma beta. Then we have S1, which is a notation which gives sum of the roots alpha plus beta. And what is the answer? Hope you remember from the lesson quadratic equation. It is minus b by a. And S2, which is the product of the roots alpha into beta, which is c by a. Now you can extend this for a quadratic from a quadratic equation to a cubic equation also. So suppose I have a cubic equation of the form ax cubed plus bx square plus cx plus d equal to 0. Then alpha plus beta plus gamma is minus b by a. And alpha beta, beta gamma, alpha gamma is c by a. And alpha beta gamma is minus d by a. So here this S1, S2, S3 stand as notations. S1 is sum of one root taken at a time. S2 stands for two roots taken at a time. S3 is three roots taken at a time. You can also extend this to any degree. Here we can see for a biquadratic equation how we can extend the same concept. A biquadratic equation is of degree 4, is it not? So it will have four roots. Let us say these are alpha, beta, gamma, and delta. Now again S1, sum of one root taken at a time is minus b by a. S2, sum of products of two roots taken at a time. You can see the combinations. It is alpha, beta, alpha, gamma, alpha, delta. All combinations with alpha are over. Now again start with beta. Beta, gamma, beta, delta. So with beta, the combinations are over. Now the finally gamma, delta. So there are 6 combinations out of the 4 roots that are taken. And there's a chapter called permutations and combinations where you will learn that the formations or the arrangements out of 4 when 2 are taken at a time are 6. So S2 is product of 2 roots taken at a time, which is C by A. Again, S3 is product of 3 roots taken at a time, and the whole sum is called S3. S3 is the sum of three roots taken at a time. That is alpha, beta, gamma, alpha, beta, delta, alpha, gamma, delta, beta, gamma, delta. You can observe that one root is left each term. And what is the value? It is nothing but minus d by a. So the final thing is S4, which is product of all the four roots, alpha, beta, gamma, delta, which is E by A. You can observe that all the coefficients B, C, D, and E are taken in each of the terms here, which are divided by the coefficient, which is called the leading coefficient, A. And the sign is taken alternatively. The first one is minus, second is plus, third one is minus, again it is plus. So alternatively, the sign keeps changing. So you can extend this to as much degree as we want. But in your syllabus, it is confined to the fourth degree. And let us see how we are going to generalize this. So if an nth degree polynomial is given, it is going to have n roots, alpha 1, alpha 2, so on, alpha n. Is it not? Now, if these are given, n roots are given, obviously, you can write them as n products of the factors x minus alpha 1, x minus alpha 2, so on, x minus alpha n. Now, relating the roots and the coefficients, we have S1, sum of one root taken at a time, which is minus P1, which is sigma of alpha I. I is taken from 1 to n. S2 is sum of two roots taken at a time, which is sigma alpha A, alpha j, whose value is P2, that is the coefficient of third term. Similarly, S3, sum of three roots taken at a time, sum of product of three roots, which is sigma alpha A, alpha j, alpha k, which is P3. Like this, if you go on writing S4, S5, S6 like that, the last will be Sn, which is alpha 1 into alpha 2 into so on alpha n, which is minus 1 whole power n into Pn. Now, let us use this concept in the problems. Find the relation between the roots and coefficients of cubic equation 3x cubed minus 10x squared plus 7x plus 10 equal to 0. Suppose a problem is given like this. You only have to find the relation, nothing else. So when we are asked to find the relation between the roots and the coefficients, what we have to do? You only have to identify A, B, C, D here. That you can do with comparison of ax cubed plus bx squared plus cx plus d equal to 0. And if you compare, you can see in the place of A, we got 3. In the place of B, it is minus 10. C is 7 and D is 10. Now let alpha, beta, gamma be the roots because this is a cubic equation. So how many notations are we going to get? It is a third degree equation. So we are going to get 3 notations. What are they? S1, S2, and S3. What are those values? S1, alpha plus beta plus gamma, which is minus B by A. And minus B by A is nothing but minus of minus 10 by 3, which is 10 by 3. Similarly, S2, alpha beta beta gamma plus gamma alpha is C by A, that is 7 by 3. And S3, alpha beta gamma is minus D by A, which is minus 10 by 3. What is the use of all this? Why are we learning the relation between roots and coefficients? What are we going to do with this? Just see. Here one problem is given. If minus 1, 2, alpha are the roots of 2x cubed plus x squared minus 7x minus 6 equal to 0. Find alpha. See, the ultimate process is to solve the equation. That is, if a third degree equation is given, you have to find 3 roots. If fourth degree equation is given, you have to find 4 roots. Now, how to find all the roots? That is the question here. In the quadratic equations, you have learnt that the roots can be found either by factorizing or using the formula minus b plus or minus root of b square minus 4ac by 2a. Now that cannot be possible with a cubic equation. Is it not? So we need some kind of a clue or some kind of a uh, notice that we can find all the 3 roots. Now here 2 roots are given, 1 root is unknown. Then what is the way? The easiest is use the concept of, just use the concept of sum of the roots, which is S1 equal to alpha plus beta plus gamma, which is minus 1 plus 2 plus alpha. That gives us 1 plus alpha. And so alpha is minus 1 by 2 minus 1, which is minus 1 by 2. That is how you can find the roots. Also, you can find certain results among the roots itself. Now, these are most famous questions, both in MSET as well as in IIT JEE. You will get all different combinations of all
break
the
in your
roots. You have to be really thorough with your algebraic formulae. So, the problem here is, let alpha, beta, gamma be the roots of x cube plus px square plus qx plus r equal to 0. Then you have to find sigma alpha square, sigma 1 by alpha, alpha cube, sigma beta square, gamma square, alpha plus beta into beta plus gamma into alpha plus gamma. How are we going to do that? All that you have to do is, you take the roots as alpha, beta, gamma and find S1, S2, S3. What is S1 here? Alpha plus beta plus gamma, which is minus b by a, which is minus p by 1, and so minus p. S2, alpha beta plus beta gamma plus gamma alpha is going to be q, and alpha beta gamma is minus r. Now these are the 3 basic equations using which we are going to find all the 5 concepts. Now the first one here is to find sigma alpha square. Now what is sigma alpha square? Sigma alpha square means alpha square plus beta square plus gamma square. We have to get that. In order to get that, here we are going to use first equation, alpha plus beta plus gamma equal to minus p. Now square on both the sides, we'll get alpha plus beta plus gamma whole square, which is minus p square. So as you know, alpha plus beta plus gamma whole square is something like a plus b plus c whole square, and it is nothing but a square plus b square plus c square plus 2ab plus 2bc plus 2ca. So alpha plus beta plus gamma whole square is going to be alpha square plus beta square plus gamma square plus 2 alpha beta plus 2 beta gamma plus 2 gamma alpha, which is p square. Now from this, what is the required one? The required form is only alpha square plus beta square plus gamma square. So this is not required. So let us take this particular 3 terms to the right side. So if I take them to the right side, by taking 2 common, what will I get? If I take 2 common, it is nothing but alpha beta plus beta gamma plus gamma alpha. And you know, this is nothing but S2. And the value of S2 in this problem is Q. So substitute Q in this place, you will get alpha square plus beta square plus gamma square plus 2Q is equal to P square. And so alpha square plus beta square plus gamma square is equal to p square minus 2q. This is how we get sigma square is equal to p square minus 2q. Similarly, how will we find sigma 1 by alpha? What do you mean by sigma 1 by alpha? Sigma 1 by alpha means it is 1 by alpha plus 1 by beta plus 1 by gamma. What is the value of that? Let us simply take the LCM of all these three. You will get alpha, beta, gamma. And in the numerator, you will get alpha, beta plus beta, gamma plus gamma, alpha. And if you observe, the numerator is S2 and the denominator is S3. Is it not? What is S2? S2 is Q and S3 is minus R. So it is nothing but minus Q by R. That is the value of sigma 1 by alpha. Now the third concept is sigma alpha cube. What do you mean by sigma alpha cube? It is alpha cube plus beta cube plus gamma cube. Hope you remember this identity which you have learnt in your 9th class. Alpha cube plus beta cube plus gamma cube minus 3 alpha beta gamma is equal to alpha plus beta plus gamma into alpha square plus beta square plus gamma square minus alpha beta minus beta gamma minus alpha gamma. Now the first factor is nothing but S1, and taking minus common, you will observe that this part is nothing but S2. Now what is this? This is the one just now we have seen and derived in the first part. So it is simple substitution of all these things. Even if you don't know the sigma alpha square, you can derive like this. It is something like a square plus b square plus c square, which can be written as a plus b plus c whole square minus 2 times ab plus bc plus ca. Only thing, in the place of a, b, c, we have got alpha, beta, gamma. Right? Now this is again S1. This is S2. Is it not? So let us substitute the values of S1 and S2. What do we get? We get minus p into minus p whole square minus 3q, which is minus p cube minus 3p cube. Okay, right. So this minus of minus becomes plus, and so sigma alpha cube is equal to 3p cube minus p cube. Now what is sigma beta square gamma square? Beta square gamma square means beta square gamma square plus gamma square alpha square. Like that you will going to get 6 different combinations. How to get that? Let us take alpha beta plus beta gamma plus gamma alpha is equal to q and square it on both sides. Now the left side, LHS is something like a plus b plus c whole square. On expansion, you will get a quantity like this. And from this, we are going to take common 2 alpha beta gamma from the last 3 terms, which gives us this format. And the first 3 terms are the required sigma beta square gamma square. And this is S3 and this is S1. Let us substitute those values. S3 is minus R, S1 is minus P. And on substitution, we get alpha square beta square plus beta square gamma square plus alpha square gamma square as q square minus 2RP. So the last one is to find the product of 3 factors here: alpha plus beta, beta plus gamma, plus alpha plus gamma. Now each of the factor, there's one root missing, is it not? So what is that one root missing there? Suppose the first factor, if you take, there is no gamma here, is it not? So if alpha plus beta plus gamma is minus p, what is simply alpha plus beta? it is minus p. This plus gamma taken to the other side becomes minus gamma. Similarly, beta plus gamma is minus p minus alpha. Alpha plus gamma is minus p minus beta. Now substituting all these three factors and multiplying 2 at a time, we get these lines which are simply the product of the factors there. So we try to take p square common, and so we get alpha plus beta plus gamma, which is once again S1. If we take p common, we get alpha beta plus beta gamma plus gamma alpha, which is S2, and the constant alpha beta gamma, which is S3. So let us substitute S1, S2, S3 there. We get minus of p cube plus p square into, substitute S1 here, minus p, substitute S2 here, which is q, substitute S3 here, which is minus r, and on simplifying this, the p cubes get cancelled and you will arrive at r minus p cube. This is how you can derive the relations between the roots of different combinations using S1, S2, S3. Now let us see one interesting problem. Now here you have to solve this equation, which is a cubic equation, as you can see, and the only root that is given is one root is twice the other. So what do you mean by one root is twice the other? Since it is a cubic equation, you will have three roots, alpha, beta, gamma, and one root is twice the other means, let us assume beta is twice alpha. Now comparing this given equation with the standard form, we get A equal to 1, B minus 7, C 0, D 36. Now let us apply the relation between coefficients and roots. S1 is minus B by A, which is minus of minus 7 by 1, that is 7. And the place of beta, if we take 2 alpha, you will get the value of alpha and gamma. Similarly, let us take S2 and S3 also. Now in all these above equations, let us substitute beta equal to 2 alpha. Suppose in the first equation you take beta equal to 2 alpha, you will get alpha plus 2 alpha plus gamma equal to 7, which is 3 alpha plus gamma equal to 7. And so gamma equal to, hello, just a moment. Yeah. So here we were talking about solving an equation where one root is twice the other. And so we were looking into it, that is alpha. So beta we have taken as 2 alpha. And so the first equation is become 3 alpha plus gamma equal to 7. And the second equation also, if you substitute beta is equal to 2 alpha, you will get alpha into 2 alpha plus 2 alpha into gamma plus alpha gamma equal to 0. Again, you get a relation between alpha and gamma. Now the equation 3 becomes 2 alpha square gamma equal to minus 36. So from the first equation where you arrived with the relation between alpha and gamma, you will see that gamma is 7 minus 3 alpha. And substituting this in the fifth equation, you will get an entire equation in alpha. And on solving this, you will get the values of alpha as 0 and 3. Now here if you take alpha equal to 0, this is not going to satisfy the given equation. And so alpha equal to 3 is a root. If alpha is equal to 3 is a root, beta equal to 2 into alpha, that is 2 into 3, which is 6. So if two roots are known, simply substitute those two roots in S1, you will get the value of gamma. This is how you can find the roots by simple one clue, that is one root is twice the other. And what is the next concept that we have used? It is nothing but the relation between roots and coefficients. Now let us see the further application of this. Hope you remember there was a chapter called Arithmetic Progressions in your 10th class. Arithmetic progression is of the form a plus d, a plus 2d, and if you remember the nth term, it is a plus n minus 1 into d. You also have geometric progression, which you must have not learned in a depth, but at least you know it is of the form ar square, and ar per n minus 1. Now, why am I getting this concept? Here, suppose the roots are given that they are in AP. How are we going to solve? This is one important 7 marks question, children, for your IP, and it is very easy. Just see how we are going to go. So you are going to solve a cubic equation whose roots are in AP. What is that you have to do? Stepwise, let me explain the algorithm first. First, you assume the roots to be a minus d, a, and a plus d. What are the roots? A minus d, a, and a plus d. Why am I taking like this? Because we are given that the roots are in AP. Now write down the relation between the roots and the coefficients. Let us start with S1. S1, as you know, is sum of the roots alpha plus beta plus gamma. Here it is a minus d plus a plus d. So d can be cancelled. Then you'll get 3a. And that 3a is minus b by a. Similarly, you take S3, the product of all the three roots, which is a minus d into a plus d. Now you will get, here from S1 itself, you will get a. Put the value of a in S3, you will get d. Once you get a and d, the roots are again a minus d, a plus d. So let us see a problem here. Solve for x cube minus 4x square plus 23x plus 18 equal to 0, given that the roots of this equation are in AP. Whenever you find the word AP, please remember the roots are a minus d, a plus d. So what is the first thing to be done? You only have to compare the given equation with the standard form and write the values of A, B, C, D. A is 4, B minus 4, C 23, D 18. Now we are going to write S1. S1 is alpha plus beta plus gamma, which is minus B by A. And here B is minus 4 and A is 4. So we will get minus 24 by 4, which is 6. Now substituting alpha, beta, gamma, we will get a minus d plus a plus d. On cancelling d and d, we get 3a is equal to 6, and so a equal to 2. Similarly, write down S2. Of course, it will not be of any use, big use here, but still you can get the value of t like this also. But the easiest way is to do it with S3. Now, once you get the values of A and D, it is only substitution there. Alpha is A minus D, 2 minus 5 by 2, which is 4 minus 5 by 2, which is minus 1 by 2. And A is 2. And the last root, A plus D, is 2 plus 5 by 2, which is 4 plus 5 by 2, 9 by 2. Okay. So this is one important 7 marks question on which I am going to give you two problems as homework. These are, of course, from the exercise problems. And the next coming slides are all problems from your text. As you can see, the first problem, you are given the roots, you have to form the polynomial equation. The second, third, fourth, fifth, all come under the one concept where you have to compare the coefficients and the roots. So like this, using this concept, watch the video again and try to solve these problems. And any other questions, you can post it in the comment box so that I can come up in the next class with you. Thank you so much. Thanks to my maths team for giving me this wonderful opportunity and interacting with all the students across Telangana. Thank you so much. Over to Deepa ma'am.
Thank you, Ishwari madam. Thank you very much. With a lot of patience, you have explained the theory of equations chapter. It was really a wonderful session. Hope again to see you again in the next session. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Over to Shelja ma'am.